Hello, you're listening to KBTalks powered by the NKBA, the only podcast dedicated to growing and supporting the kitchen and bath industry. I'm your host, Jennifer Bertrand. Collaboration is more than a corporate buzzword. Whether we're talking about bringing together people, teams, or corporations, the ability to create environments where strategy and expertise can flow can be critical to a project's success. This episode was recorded at KBIS 2019, where I had the opportunity to chat with Barbara Schmidt of studiobstyle and Maria Reitan of Topsail Strategies, who collaborated on a Voices from the Industry session. Listen in as these two offer their wisdom on how to take businesses from a solo act to a team effort in the most effective way. What happens when great minds don't think alike? How can we avoid teamwork headaches and skip straight to the spark of genius that can happen when the right people are in the same room? Stay tuned and find out.
At Samsung, we aren't just predicting the future, we're creating it. Inspired by chefs, the Samsung Chef Collection is built on 3 core pillars: design, technology, and performance. The recipient of 4 2018 CES Innovation Honoree Awards, the Chef Collection features performance, precision, and design that is recognized across the globe. The Chef Collection lineup includes a 42-inch 4-door flex built-in refrigerator, a 36-inch Pro Range, 36-inch induction cooktop, and a 30-inch microwave combination wall oven, all boasting smart features designed to suit any type of lifestyle, including Wi-Fi-enabled interior cameras and advanced temperature control. Samsung's wide range of products feature multiple color and size options and ensure that the kitchen is designed exactly as the chef desires it. We crafted this collection with sophisticated capabilities for intuitive performance to elevate the modern kitchen experience. Welcome to the future of cooking. To discover more about the Chef Collection and learn more about our rewards program for certified designers, visit Samsung.com.
Let's start this amazing chat with you two lovely ladies. Will you two introduce yourselves and give us a little tidbit about what you do in life?
Hi, I'm Barbara Schmidt, and I own an agency in Minnesota that works with kitchen and bath manufacturers, and I also style a lot editorially, so you've probably seen my name in a lot of magazines, and I blog, and I have an Instagram feed that's behind the scenes of all my work.
Hey, that's exciting.
And I'm Maria Reitan, and I work with Barb at studiobstyle and approach really the work from a strategy standpoint and do a lot of the client relationship management piece. I come out of TV news originally, so I know media very well, and then I also come from a PR and advertising background.
And you have your own podcast as well. What is that called?
I do. Thank you for asking.
I will promote both of you.
Appreciate the
It's
plug.
10% kickback. I'm just kidding.
It's called Purse Strings, and it's about marketing to women. So I've been an expertise in marketing to women for about 11, 12 years now. And I focus not only on marketing to women, but empowerment of women issues as well in the workplace.
Well, I feel like that's a great cause. But today, our main focus, we love women, but let's talk collaboration, just on the human level and the business level, because you guys did a chat with Voices in the industry, and you were starting to tell me some cool stuff about it. But what is something about collaboration that you find that most people are like, oh yeah, I wouldn't think about that?
Yeah, I think collaboration is gaining some traction these days, but I think it's still a fairly new concept for a lot of companies. Companies are used to looking at themselves as a solo brand. And even inside of companies today, there's still major silos within companies. You may not have a PR team talking to the advertising team, for example, or the social team may be housed in an IT team, and they're not talking to each other. So there's collaboration that can happen within a company, but there's also collaboration that can happen outside the company, and that's a fairly new concept for most companies today. We found that just presenting the idea of collaboration with like-minded brands that are not competitive to you is interesting, but they don't always know how to pull that off, and that's where studiobstyle steps in with what we call our secret sauce, which is our process for that type of collaboration.
No, that's awesome. And we have touched on in other podcasts about community over competition, which is such a crazy concept in the past. But if someone's listening to this and they're like, that's great if you're a big company and you're loaded or whatever, in terms of how it affects smaller brands, designers, and all of that, what advice would you give?
Well, every individual designer is actually a brand ambassador in some way, shape, or form. So everything that they're buying and putting into their products or into their projects is something that they can be collaborating on. You are a collaborator no matter what you're doing already.
So, give an example. So,
we had an individual designer in our talk, and she was talking to us, and she was working on a bathroom project, and she's specifying tile. Well, that tile company could be promoting her if she submitted her imagery, if she took pictures of her project, even in process, and then submitted it to them. They may actually pick her up and promote her. And if you get a big brand promoting you that in your business or in your sphere, that can just make your business explode. So that's just a small one. I mean, there's lots of different ways you can team up with brands, even if you're an individual, to help tell their story.
I think that's the scary part is you have to be a little delusional to say I have a story to tell and you need to hear it and you want to be a part of the story I'm telling.
Exactly. I think you have to have a lot of confidence. But what I think if you step out of that into that the first time and you see what can happen when you do, it'll just fuel you the easier the next time. For example, we have to convince clients all the time that they need to be partnering with other like-minded brands. They're going after, for example, the affluent homeowner. And so we did a test about a year ago of an Instagram laydown campaign. We brought 5 brands together, all non-competitive, and we said we just want to give this a test and see how it goes. And we captured 8 creative mood boards for Instagram. We did 30 days of social, and then we amplified that with a paid digital campaign. All of that cost was shared at a very low cost by the 5 brands. And what we found is a lot of traffic was being driven to their points of conversion. So, whether it was a find a dealer or find a showroom or even e-commerce, ultimately, because each of the brands were cross-promoting the other brands, suddenly it exploded. And they were like, oh yeah, this does work. So they were a little unsure, but we were like, let's just test it. And I think if you even enter the conversation as, let's try this, let's just test it, as opposed to we're putting our flag in the ground and this is what we're going to do. Yeah. I think people are more open to trying things.
Yeah, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Exactly, you just get more content. And today, part of the reason Barb came up with this concept was clients were saying, our marketing budgets are shrinking, our marketing goals are growing, and we need content 24/7. What the heck are we going to do?
It is a lot of content you have to have.
It's crazy. There's so many different platforms. So one of the things that we tell a lot of brands and even designers is make sure when you are shooting something, whether it's video or still, shoot a lot of details, little small stories within the big story. Don't just shoot
a video or a still.
You can do both. If you go into say a living room, make sure that you show the windowscape, the little side seating area, the details on the table. Go in and tell various stories, because if you do that, you'll have a lot more content to spread out over platforms. Because even if the trick to content is there's a lot of content in one room. Really, seriously, flooring. You can just run right all over the whole thing. There's probably 100 details in there that you could tell across platforms.
I laugh because sometimes I see a blogger who's killing it. I'm like, I need to copy that lady. But it's their one house, a million different perspectives. And sometimes you have to just stop and step back and look at the different perspectives.
What are the little stories? What are the little stories you can tell?
And consumers want to understand how people live. They don't want to just understand what that product is. They want to understand how people interact with those products. How do they live with it?
Yeah.
And so creating a story that is real goes a long way also.
Don't you think that's also because people are embracing transparency and that like authenticity is so on trend now, thank goodness.
Yeah.
So I think brands are starting to get that.
Yeah. I think other designers too. I mean, I always welcome when I get to go shoot another designer's project because I get to sit with them for 2 or 3 days and like chat with another designer. We don't talk to each other enough because we're so busy, right?
Yeah.
Making spaces and flying around trying to make sure we get all our projects done. There's a lot of kindred spirits in designers. I mean, and we all need each other. And we can all help each other, really. If we just talk about each other, that's another thing. If you just that's how Instagram really works, and I think that's what kind of gave me the idea. I'm like, okay, well, we're all sharing all this information. We're sharing our project work. We're sharing the details of how we do things. That's really how brands should do it, too.
Yeah.
We should share each other's stuff. And that's really what all social media is. That's the nut of the conversation. I think companies just aren't used to that whole conversational style. They're not used to that sharing idea.
They're like, wait, we were trying not to do that for so long.
Exactly.
It's about me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it will end up being about them, but others will be amplifying them, and at the end of the day, they're all trying to reach the same consumer.
Yeah.
And the consumer is compelled by imagery and video, and they're never-ending thirst for both. So you have to keep pumping that out. Well, you have limited budgets to do that, but if you can band together with other brands to help you pump it out, it just goes a lot further. And your marketing budgets go a lot further that way.
So if someone's listening to this and they're like, that's awesome, but I'm not like maybe the most outgoing person or whatever, how would you suggest they start creating that collaboration? Or is it just doing social media and start tagging people? What would be your like simplified like first step for someone? Obviously it's not simple, but like if you were to say just start with this.
I mean, just look at one room. Just look at one room, and if you could stand there, if you were going to tell your best friend about it, kind of like how we're sitting here and talking, what are like your 3 favorite things? 3 is easy. Don't do 5 or 10 because you'll get to that later, but try 3. What are your 3 favorite things about this one room you just designed? And then go room to room to room, and pretty soon then you have a whole house, and then pretty soon you can sit down and go, oh yeah, I should have covered that in that room too. You just have to start with 3 things. What are your 3 favorite things? Take pictures of it and talk about it. That's it.
And cross-promote the brands in the room. So if you start with the 3 things, what are the brands that are in the room that you can amplify? Give them some hashtag and tag love. And then the other thing is don't be afraid just to call them and say, hey, I just want you to know that I love your brand, and I have these amazing pictures. I'm going to be putting them out on social. I'll be tagging you. Just want to make sure I'm using the right hashtags and tags. And you'd be amazed at the positive response, because brands understand the power of social media. They understand the power of influencers. And as Barb said, every designer is an influencer. So own your power, I would say.
And I think some people think you have to have like 500,000 followers to do it, and that's the part they misconceive, that you can really just do it with less is more, and they're looking at communities and your reach within your world.
Exactly, and they really covet designers because
we're
they're
amazing.
We're experts, right?
Yeah,
the experts, and they want that third-party validation, and that's what designers bring, is that third-party validation. So people listening today, own your power, because you have a lot more than you think, and I think brands will pay attention. And just make the one phone call and just let them know, and then continue to tag and hashtag, and they'll give you love back. I mean, they will. If they're doing their job right, they'll give you love back.
It might be easier to start with somebody local too.
Yeah.
Like a local showroom. There's a showroom in Minneapolis. Shout out love to Tapas Decor. I started working with them, and I tag them on everything, and they tag me back, and they repost all my stuff, and honestly, it helps. And they're great people. So, I mean, it could be just a local showroom that you're working with constantly that will get you the love, and their network will now be seeing your work, and then that's how it works. So they told two friends, and they told two friends, and they told two
It's
friends.
like that Brady Bunch beginning.
Yeah.
Like, but honestly, you just never know anymore. Like, I always think you just go, why not? Do it. Tag them. What? Who
got
cares?
nothing to lose.
Exactly.
Nothing to lose but more exposure.
And I think often people, like smaller brands, think, oh my gosh, is my feed not clean enough or pretty enough and all of that. You can always build towards that. I'm a prime example. Mine's Bridget Jones of Design Hot Mess. Somehow it still works. But you just kind of set a small goal and baby step towards it. So, okay, so our one takeaway for them, that each of you give one takeaway for someone on a final note. I know, right? Don't you love it? On the spot takeaway.
If you're wondering how to start, I would sit down and think about brands you admire and how could you collaborate with brands that you admire. And if you can't do it at that big level, because that may be too intimidating, how can you incorporate brands you admire in your next project and use that to begin the process?
Good tip, good tip. What'd she leave for you? What do you have?
I just think, it's in you already what you know you love. And that's really what you should focus on. If it's color, great. If it's fabric, great. Pick what you love, because that'll be the easiest thing for you to talk about or to photograph, because you love it. And then you'll automatically hashtag it with all the reasons why you love it. That's the easiest thing. Go to what you love and then talk about that in your design.
And my takeaway for you would be back to what you said about just start small within your community. Pick 3 companies that you collaborate with anyway on projects and just tell a story. Pick 1 week where you say each day I'm going to do one different perspective of this job with these companies and tell something different and tag them and do that. So all of you out there, you're going to be great. Start collaborating. Where can they find the two of you?
studiobstyle.com and on Instagram.
Yep. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm everywhere. Pinterest.
It's a good time.
But start with Instagram, because that's where all the really beautiful stuff gets posted.
Yeah.
It is a visual dessert. So thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for our sponsors. And thanks for listening to KB Talks.
Every year at KBIS, the NKBA's Voices from the Industry Conference presents an invaluable opportunity for professional development and career growth. This year's conference features 74 sessions in 5 categories, including Grow Your Business, Kitchen and Bath Specialty Training, Design, Management, and Customer Service. Backed by popular demand are some favorite VFTI speakers who return in 2020 with new or updated presentations. Plus, at least 25 speakers are new this year, offering fresh content and a fresh perspective. If you prefer a hands-on learning experience, the NKBA also offers 5 on-site interactive lab sessions. Register now for KBIS 2020 and the Voices from the Industry Conference sessions. Visit kbis.com for more information.